boxing fans, and welcome back to the Saved by the Bell podcast with my co-host H and myself, Dark Side of the Moon. In this episode, we're going to be covering the boxing that's happened over the weekend, and the Misfits on Thursday, and we had Cameron Vuong versus Gavin Gwynne, and of course the big one in Sonny Edwards versus Galal Yafai. We're also going to be talking about what's coming up this weekend in the Magnificent Seven card. We have also got Paro versus Richardson Hitchins. And the big one, in my opinion, over this weekend is going to be Navarrete versus Oscar Valdez, the rematch. So before we get into all of that, how you doing, H? And what did you make of the boxing on Thursday and Saturday?
You know what, Ross? Thank you for asking me how I'm doing. But you know what, bro? Besides the weather being cold and miserable outside, do you know what's not miserable and cold? Have a guess. That? The fucking boxing game. The boxing is not cold. It's on fire right now. It's on full steam. It's on go mode. Bruv, I'm good. Thank you for asking. What did I make over the events that happened over the weekend? You know what? Where do I start? Let's kickstart things with the Misfits. Overall, I'm not going to lie. I was pretty entertained. I enjoyed myself. If we're talking about skill-wise, fight-wise, I was a bit disappointed with a few of the cards. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, for an example, Deji versus Dawood the Savage. That guy needs to change his name to Dawood the Cabbage. Because what was that? Bruv, I thought I was looking at flipping a little bunny hopping in the ring all night long. Just hopping. And then even the knockdown itself, the first knockdown that Deji landed on Dawood was a straight cross. And it wasn't counted as a knockdown. I was like, what the hell is that? What's going on here? And then the second knockdown, it didn't even touch him. And the guy faked an injury. Not faked injury, he faked that he got hurt. Dawood the Savage faked that he got hurt. And he quit. He quit. Yeah. That's what he basically did. He quit the fight, bro. Anyways, moving on from that. It was, overall, the event itself was good. You know what? I'm going to kickstart things off, with Swarms versus Pineda. Now, what do I think of this fight? Swarms needs to give it a rest, bro. Go back to the studio, start writing some bars. Do you get me? Do what you got to do because boxing is not for you. You know what I mean? I understand you may have been the first rapper to transition into boxing, influencer boxing. I understand. You know what I mean? You always hold that title. But as far as you, I don't know, going further in this influencer journey career, nah, bro, give it a rest, man. Do you know what I mean? This is Saved by the Bell podcast. We don't sugarcoat nothing. We say how it is. Do you know what I mean? And if you're shy, innit, bro? You get me? So Swarms is fucking shy. Get back in the studio, write some bars, and hopefully that works out for you. Because in the ring, these gloves, they didn't start working out. And especially for someone like Pineda. I don't really rate Pineda highly anyway. You know what I mean? If you're a professional boxer and what are you doing as a professional boxer in the influencer scene? Clearly, you're just another shy guy as well. You know what I mean? Just looking for a quick payday. You're thinking, you know what? Now, if we was to put Pineda, who is a professional boxer in the actual professional boxing world, he'd get smoked. He would get absolutely battered. Yeah. Now, he thought to himself, you know what? Why am I going to go to the professional scene when I can stick to influencer boxing and get paid maybe even more than what I would get paid as a pro? And I wouldn't even make it as a pro. I'd get absolutely battered. So I hear it from Pineda's side. I hear it from Swarm's side. Let me know what your thoughts on this quickly.
Yeah, quickly and briefly on this fight. I mean, overall, the fight was not really very exciting, was it? I mean, we had that knockdown as such in the first round. I did go and watch it back several times. The punch didn't actually land. I think it was more of a just sort of an impact that sent him going backwards because of his positioning. So I don't think it was even a knockdown. The actual fight was pretty bad, to be honest. It wasn't great. I'll start with Swarms. Look, Swarms is not ever going to be a successful boxer in the influencer scene. But what I will say is I did see some very, very small, minor improvements from the way he was boxing from his last fight. Is it enough to get him to where he needs to be? Absolutely not. You know, what do I think of Pineda? I think Pineda, you know, he had all the advantages if you think about it. You know, he's got more experience. He's been boxing for longer. He's the taller guy, the rangier guy. You know, he's even had more influencer fights, I believe, than Swarms has had. So, you know, all the advantages were already in Pineda's favor. And I do think it was somewhat of a tough challenge for Swarms, even though Swarms is not great. I still think it was a tough challenge. But me being very honest, I think, you know, it's probably back to the drawing board for Swarms. Pineda, he gets a win, he moves on. But I think if you put any decent pro boxer in with Pineda, gets smoked. I think if you put any decent influencer in with either of them, they probably both get smoked. But again, it's all just entertainment factor, isn't it? So, you know, my final thoughts on the fight were it wasn't great, but it was okay. There was some moments that were a little bit interesting. But yeah, that's my wrap on that one.
Yes, my dude, I totally agree with you. I mean, let's quickly and swiftly move on to Salt Papi versus King Kenny. Now, you know what? I said from the get-go, I said Salt Papi is levels above King Kenny. I said this from the jump. Do you know what I mean? And I always believe this. Listen, you have to understand, yeah, we can't expect a lot from these guys, especially guys who've never had any amateur background, who've only started boxing a couple of years ago, who've never even been in any street fights. You know what I mean? So these guys have come from no combat background, literally none. And for you to transition from that to where you're at now, you know what? We got to give them props in it. Do you know what I mean? We have to give them props. End of the day, Misfits, it's not about skills. It's more entertainment. Do you know what I mean? It's like WWE, but for boxing. Do you know what I mean? So we can't really expect a lot as skill-wise, but what we can expect is entertainment. Do you know what I mean? Great showmanship and all that sort of stuff. But anyways, King Kenny versus Salt Papi. What did I make of this? I always knew Salt Papi was levels above King Kenny. When it came to the fight itself, you saw what was going on. Salt Papi was the more confident fighter. He was in control. He kept the distance. Do you know what I mean? His counter punches were on point, beautiful. And as you saw for yourself, it was a counter punch that dropped King Kenny. And I'm not going to lie to you, he connected King Kenny very good. I think that's the first time King Kenny has actually got connected in his Misfits fights. That's the first time he's actually he's got a hit and he's felt the punch. Do you know what I mean? And you saw from the aftermath, he was out, bruv. His neck, his head was out the ring. Do you know what I mean? You saw him, he was fucked. But you know what? Salt Papi, he's one of the best influencer boxers out there. One of the best. I say maybe in the top 10. You know what I mean? Top 10, definitely. You can mention Salt Papi in the top 10. King Kenny, nah, he's not in the top 10. If you was to name him out, no way. So that's my thoughts on that, bro. For Salt Papi, maybe a rematch with Slim. Go get some revenge. You know what I mean? Because Slim didn't beat you in his last fight, and now Slim lost to Gibb. So maybe have a rematch. You know what I mean? Go get some revenge, bro. There's scores to settle, bro. You get me? Go have a rematch. For King Kenny, shit. Go back to Beta Squad, man. Go fucking make some YouTube videos or something. Do you know what I mean? Because this boxing thing, it's not for you, bro. You know what I mean? As much as you might have these fancy trainers, fancy dietaries, and all this sort of stuff, you're not a fighter. It's not in your blood. You get me? You're not a fighter, and you can't just, like Mike Tyson said with Jake Paul. Jake, he's a manufactured killer, man. I'm the real killer. See, there's a difference between manufactured killers and real killers. You can always tell the difference. But anyways, big up to both guys for stepping in the ring. Let me ask your thoughts quickly on this fight here, bro.
Yeah, just super brief because you pretty much covered it all. I think going into the fight, I think pretty much everybody knew how the fight was going to sort of unfold. You know, King Kenny fights pretty much the same in most of his fights. He's fairly gun shy, doesn't throw a lot of shots. Yeah. Probably his best punch is a jab, which he doesn't use enough. But look, King Kenny is always going to be the same, I believe. I don't think he's going to box any differently in the future. And that's what I have to say about King Kenny. On Salt Papi, I think Salt Papi is probably one of the best counterpunchers and one of the best boxers. I think as far as technical ability, I think he is technically quite good. He's not one of the best, but he is quite good. However, I do think he's one of the best counterpunchers in the Misfits and influencer scene. He showed that now numerous occasions. I think he's had, 3 fights, 3 by knockout? No, I think it's 4 and 4 by knockout.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that was a bit of a bit of a mad one there. But yeah, Salt Pappy, he's going to go on to bigger and better things, I believe. But I mean, like you said, the fight with Slim makes perfect sense because he's come off a loss in Slim, and Salt Pappy's just come off of a victory and needs to avenge that fight. Slim will want to get back into winning flows again. So makes perfect sense. That was a perfect suggestion of a fight that you suggested, my bro. So overall, the fight was okay. Again, an okay sort of scrap, about a 6 out of 10 sort of scrap, but a great finish. I mean, Salt Pappy really sent King Kenny across that ring. Nice. It was a nice knockout. But yeah, fair play. So that's my thoughts on the Salt Pappy versus King Kenny. Now on to the main event of the Misfits card.
Let's roll on to Slim versus Gib. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was good. It was good action. It was good action back and forth between Gib and Slim. But I feel like Slim did not come in how he usually comes in. I don't know what it was. I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. I don't know what it was, but he didn't seem the normal Slim. Do you know what I mean? The normal Slim would have let those rockets fly. The normal Slim would have used his distance, would have used his footwork, would have used his long reach and keep the opponent at bay. And we didn't see none of that in this fight. It was quite sluggish from Slim's side. You know what I mean? The shots that he was getting hit by from Gib, he should have never been getting hit with those shots. He should have never been even letting Gib come close to him, let alone land those shots. I mean, the first couple of rounds I was giving it to Slim. Slim was doing his thing, but then I think after that, once Gib got his momentum, once Gib got his confidence up, it was over from there. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to say it's absolutely dominated the fight, absolutely bad Slim, but I'm saying for the fight itself, that's when Gib got in the moment, and that's when Gib started landing. And it don't matter how many punches you throw in a fight, it matters what lands. How many punches that land clean, flush on the body, on the face. Forget the gloves, forget the arms. What lands on your body and your face? Think about the Olympics. Think about the amateurs. It's a points-based system. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure by the way the judges were scoring the Misfits, I'm sure they're using the amateur score point system. Do you know what I mean? Because this is not professional. This is about scores, isn't it? It's scoring points. Do you know what I mean? These guys are influencers. They're not really going to knock each other out unless it's some good talent that's fighting. But if it's like these average guys, they're not going to knock each other out. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's about what punches landed more cleaner that got the victory in this fight. And obviously, ultimately, it was Gib that landed the more cleaner shots. It may look like Slim was landing more or throwing more, but it's ultimately down to who landed the cleaner shots on the opponent on the night, and ultimately Gib got the victory. Let me know what your thoughts are on this as well, bro.
Yeah, man. I thought, to be honest, I did think it was quite a good fight, to be honest. It was quite entertaining at times. I have to be honest, I thought the way Slim came out in round 1 and 2, he was absolutely destroying Gib in those first 2 rounds. And I think after the first 2 rounds, I still gave round 3 to Slim, but close. That's where it started to even out more. And then round 4, 5, 6, it was starting to be Gib. And I just feel like something went wrong for Slim. It's like you said, you know, Slim doesn't normally fight like that. The way he fought in the first 2 rounds is the way he normally fights for the whole fight. So I don't know why he changed his strategy all of a sudden, because I believe if he kept that same strategy from round 1 and 2 throughout the fight, he would have taken the fight fairly convincingly. I mean, the guy has a massive reach advantage. Do you know what I mean? But I think a lot of the feinting and posturing from Gib was sort of throwing Slim off. And that's something that he probably hasn't had to sort of deal with so much. I feel like Gib's got a very, KSI said it's almost like a herky-jerky kind of weird kind of posture that he has.
Yeah.
Effective because people kind of don't know what he's going to do. And then he just randomly pops out with the occasional 1 punch here, 2 punches, counter shots and stuff like that. So, look, I thought it was a good fight. I want to say congratulations to Gib. That's now the 3rd boxing promotional company that he's gone in and become champion of. So this is not a fluke. He's obviously a good boxer. I would probably say that they should have a rematch because I still think even though I thought that Gibb didn't win the fight, I didn't think it was, you know, a massive landslide victory. I did think that it was fairly close. So I would like to see them run it back. Like you said, there's also that potential fight for Salt Papi and Slim. Depends on which route Slim wants to go down now. But that's all for the future. So those are my thoughts on that fight. Now
Yes,
onto
buddy.
professional boxing.
Let's get on to the professional boxing now. You know what? Overall, let's move on from the Misfits to the Sonny Edwards versus Galal Yafai. Overall, I'm not gonna lie, it was a great night, great talent, great fights. Wow, where do we even start? I said we keep it short and brief, and we keep mention a few. You know what I mean? Of course, let's start straight away to Cameron Vuong versus Gavin Gwynne. Now, we've done a review on this on our last episode, so we might as well do a recap, a review on the actual fight itself. It only makes sense. Listen, now, I'm not going to lie to you, there's a lot of controversy with this one. A lot of the fans are upset with this one. They say, what's going on here, bruv? Gavin Gwynne got robbed in this fight. A lot of people are angry, pissed off. And you know what's... I'll tell you what's funny. You know, the way they promoted Cameron Vuong, this new superstar is coming to the game. Woo, woo, woo. You know, the fans are going to love him. Woo, woo, woo. At the end of the fight, he didn't get any cheers. He was getting boos.
Yeah.
Cameron Vuong was getting boos at the end of the fight. And when is that ever a good sign for a prospect that's rising? It's
not
never a good sign, bruv. Do you get me? Sometimes the promoter may think that you are a superstar. The promoter may think that you are the next big thing. In reality, you're not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes stars are born naturally. You ain't got to promote them. Sometimes they be in the background and then boom, years later come out. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, that's that on that. But the fight itself, you know what? We've learned one thing in this fight. Cameron Vuong has got fuck all power, bro. You get me? That man has got fuck all, bro. No pop in his shots. Do you know what I mean? I'm thinking, is this guy just another hype job? Is he just another hype train? Do you know what I mean? Or maybe I'm being a bit too harsh because this is his fourth fight. Was this not his fourth fight? What was it again?
I think that is his seventh. He's on his seventh. That was his seventh fight.
Sorry, seventh fight. He's fairly new to the pro game, so I can't really dig him too much right now. But then again, he stepped up against someone like Gavin Gwynne. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Massive
Gavin Gwynne, that's a big step up. I mean, even though Gavin Gwynne is no flipping world level champion, but he's still a veteran in the game. He's been around for time. And if you couldn't put him to sleep or you couldn't take him out, then that goes to show us what level you're at this stage.
True.
And ultimately, don't get me wrong, he was doing good, Cameron Vuong. He was slipping, doing his thing, throwing jabs, throwing crosses, landing a few. But then everything that was landing, there was no respect behind it because Gavin Gwynne wasn't backing up. Gavin Gwynne kept coming forward. Even though he was getting hit, he still kept coming forward. And that's a very big red flag. Because if you got no pop in your shot, the opponent does not respect you. I don't even mind getting hit. If you can hit me and I'm not getting hurt, I don't even mind getting hurt. Because guess what? I don't respect your power. I don't respect your punches. So I'm going to carry on coming forward and you do what you got to do. I'm just going to get you on a counter or something. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those ones, bro. Power and speed is definitely needed in the sport, you know, up the sport of boxing. Cameron, he may have speed, but has he got power? No. Now, let's get on to the controversy. A lot of people are saying that Gavin Gwynne got robbed. It's a robbery. Oh my God, what happened here? My thoughts are on this. I'm trying to use another word for robbery, but because a robbery is normally when one opponent completely dominates his opponent in the ring, and then gets robbed for the fight. That's robbery, innit? This was a close fight, but still, I feel like Gavin Gwynne most definitely had more rounds in his favor than Cameron Vuong. But now, obviously, you have to understand if you are Cameron Vuong and the way everyone's trying to build you to be the next superstar, you're gonna win regardless. It's inevitable. This is the sport of boxing. Gavin Gwynne's on his way out. Why are they gonna give Gavin Gwynne What if they gave Gavin Gwynne the victory that fucks up everything for Cameron Vuong? Do you know what I mean? All that hype for nothing. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So this is boxing. This is a dirty side of boxing. Do you know what I mean? It's a business end of the day, and of course they're gonna be in favor for the young up and coming superstar rather than Gavin Gwynne, who's on his way out. Do you know what I mean? But that's my thoughts on that. Let me know what your thoughts on this.
My thoughts on the fight were pretty much a lot of what you said. I agree with, to be honest. I think that I wouldn't. I want to say robbery, but I don't at the same time, because I feel like you explained, robbery should be where one person completely dominates the opponent. Maybe the opponent gets 1 or 2 rounds and then they lose. That's what a robbery is. In this particular case, I'm going to say a bad decision. But the weird thing is, it wasn't a bad decision by one ref. By one judge. It was a bad decision by all 3 judges. So to me, the first point I want to mention is basically about that, is that I genuinely thought, as you did, as many other people did, that Gavin Gwynne did enough to win that fight. He stood in the line of fire. He took shots. He threw combinations, body, head. He was throwing flurries of shots as well. You know, he might throw 5, 6, 7 shots, and maybe only 1 or 2 get through and land, but they were still landing. They were getting in there. And I did feel like he landed more punches than what Cameron Vuong did. And I did genuinely believe that he did enough to get that victory. And to be honest with you, I was angry, I was sad, I was upset about it, because this is a guy, like you said, who is on his way out, and he's given what's probably a career best performance against a young and youthful guy who they're promoting to be the next big thing. And he's put on a brilliant show and didn't get the victory. And not only didn't get the victory, didn't even get a draw out of it. I think if you think the fight is somewhat close, I personally wouldn't have scored it a draw, because I didn't think Vuong did enough for a draw. However, on the other hand, for Cameron Vuong, look, he's got the win. He's still early in his career. This was a massive step up for him. We have to also take that into consideration. Most people don't fight former European champions after, 6, 7 sort of fights. They build them up fighting a load of trash cans until they get to a much higher level, maybe around 15, 20 fights, and they'll take something like that. So I appreciate the fact that he had the balls to step up and take a good fight like this. I think he needs to go back to the drawing board and work on, in my opinion, he needs to be more active with his jab, because I feel like he's very technical. He's good at picking his shots, but he hasn't got the power with it. So if you haven't got the power, what it means is you need to work harder. It means you need to have more output to be able to cope with someone else who may have power. That means they throw less shots, but can also stop you. So you need to put more output. And I think, look, I don't think he's going to go on to be a world champion from what I've seen, but you never know. He is early in his career and he could develop into a much better talent. But yeah, that's basically a wrap of my thoughts for that fight.
All right, cool. I like that. I totally agree with what you said. You know what I mean? We can't be too harsh on Cameron Vuong just yet. He's still early. Who knows? He may develop. Let's give it some time. You know what I mean? Let's be patient with him. Anyway, let's quickly and swiftly move on to the main event. You know what's going down. Shall we say galal yafai versus Sonny Edwards, or shall we say Sonny Edwards versus galal yafai? What's going on there?
Galal Yafai versus Sonny Edwards after that performance.
That's it. So let's get it cracking. Galal Yafai versus Sonny Edwards. Now, I'm going to give you my thoughts on this. What the fuck happened there, bro? That's my first initial thought. What's going on there, bro? What happened? What went left? What's going on? Where did the game plan go? Where was Sonny's head at? After all that talking, after all the drama, all the hoo-ha, all the rah-rah, this is what it came down to.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Me, I was ruined for Sonny. I'm a Sonny Edwards fan. Do you know what I mean? I like his character. I like him as a person. Bro, what happened in this fight? If I'm not mistaken, was it round 2 when Sonny went to his corner and said to his trainer, he goes, yo, if I be real with you, I don't even want to be here.
Yeah, I heard it.
You heard it, right?
It's sad.
And that was very sad when I heard that. I was very sad. Yeah. And for a fighter to say that while in the ring, you know you don't want to be here. You can't be a fighter if you don't want to be in the ring. Do you know what I mean? And especially against a high level opponent like Galal Yafai, you can't afford to make no mistakes against an opponent like Galal Yafai. And you saw on the night itself, Galal Yafai was all over him like a rash.
Yeah, a swarm. He was swarming him constantly.
Constantly. There wasn't no break time. There was no breaks.
No.
There was literally on the go, apply pressure, on the go, apply pressure. And I believe if Galal Yafai had pop in his punches or had more power, the fight would have been done a long time ago, because he landed quite a lot of punches. And almost at times it looked like, what's going on? All these punches are landing and you're not really doing any damage. You know what I mean? But obviously, then again, I got to come back to my senses. I'm a big guy. These guys are small guys. So obviously, it's different. You get it? But anyways, let's quickly and swiftly move on. That's the only thing I can say. What was that? What was that performance? Where was Sonny's head at? Did Sonny have a plan before the fight? Did he know in his head that I'm gonna lose this fight? Did he know in his head that did he have a talk with himself? Am I mentally ready to go into this fight? Did he ask these questions, or did these questions only come when he was in the ring? That's my thoughts. And if I had a chance to speak to Sonny, I would ask him the same thing. Where did this come from? I don't want to be in the ring. Where did it come from? Was it while he was in the ring or before he was in the ring? Because if that was before he was in the ring, then you already lost the fight from the get-go. Yeah. The fight was lost from the get-go. So I don't know, man. It was very sad. It was very sad. I want to know, what's your thoughts on the fight itself?
Yeah, my thoughts on the fight itself are similar to yours. I mean, I'm just thinking, what the hell's going on? You know, I've watched many fights of Sonny as you have, and we all know what Sonny's like. He's extremely technical. He loves to pop his jab out a lot. He moves from different angles. He constantly pivots on his back foot to move away from shots. He will pivot on his back foot and throw the counter left hook at the same time. We didn't see any of that. We didn't see any of that. And one of the things that I hate seeing when I see any boxer that I like getting backed up on the ropes and they don't dip and slip away and spin away from the ropes, I knew something was wrong there, because Sonny never lets his back go up against the ropes for too long. He might stay there for a little bit and throw off a few shots, and then he'll dip and slip and move out and take center ring control again. So I just have to say, I mean, that the questions we need to ask are, was he already mentally defeated, like you said, before the fight? Or was it because of that first round barrage that Galal Yafai was putting on him? Now, I want to just say, sort of finishing off with Sonny, but then moving on to Galal, because we have to give some praise as well. I think that's definitely Sonny's worst performance I've seen. Definitely. Hearing what he said in that ring, I was literally saying to myself, oh no. When I heard that, I knew the fight was already over. If you have a fighter saying that they don't want to be there, then there's something obviously, wrong. Whether it's something to do with before the fight or during the fight, it doesn't really matter. The reality was he lost the fight, and he lost it badly. But, from Sonny, I think I said to you straight after the fight, even before I heard this, is that I think Sonny should retire after that performance. And now we know he has retired. He announced that he knew he was going to retire, win, loss, or draw before the fight, before the fight took place. So we already knew that. And maybe Sonny in himself, he says he doesn't have that fire. Sometimes it just goes within a fight where you just lose that fire. So that's what I have to say on Sonny. But now on Galal, you have to say fair play to Galal Yafai. He put on a fantastic performance. He gets his get back, which he's been waiting all the way since the amateur days when Sonny Edwards beat him in the amateurs to get this get back. And boy, did he deserve it. Like you said, he did not give Sonny Edwards a second to breathe, not even a 3 seconds for him to breathe. So I have to say, well done to Galal Yafai. Fantastic performance, and on to bigger and better things. I think the fight that could potentially happen, which I think will be a brilliant spectacle, but I think it might be a little early for it now. Galal Yafai versus Jesse Bam Rodriguez.
Yes, I've been hearing a lot of talks about this. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll keep it real. I don't think he's ready for a Bam Rodriguez right now. He needs at least a couple more fights. you know what I mean, because galal yafai is fairly new to the program. He needs at least a couple more fights. Do you know what I mean? And get his name out there, and then go fight a Bam Rodriguez. Because if he was to fight a Bam Rodriguez right now, he would get destroyed.
Get smoked.
You know what I mean? He gets smoked. So I say, you know what? Let's just hold on. There's no rush. He's still fairly young. There's no rush.
Yeah.
You ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. Let's chill out. You know what I mean? Let's enjoy the journey. Enjoy this journey that you're on, and we're here with you. You know what I mean? So that's my thoughts on that possibility of that fight. Quickly but swiftly on Edwards retiring. You know what? I'm going to say something, not just for boxers, not just for boxing fans, but for in all life aspects, in general life, bruv. If you lose passion for something, whether it's work, whether it's, I don't know, a relationship, family members, anything in life, once you lose that passion, you're fucked.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get back in the motion. It's very hard to get back to the prime position that you was in before you lost the passion. Now, for Sonny yourself, this is boxing. If you ain't got no passion for the sport no more, it's time for you to retire. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't be
hang them up.
You can't be a fighter and you got no passion for the sport. It makes no sense. Do you know what I mean? So
absolutely, bro.
Passion is a very, very important thing in life. And bear in mind, people think that you have a lifetime of passion. No, passion is limited. Whatever field that you're in, the passion, the desire, the motivation will eventually burn out. We're humans.
Yeah.
So whilst you got the passion, make sure you put your all in it. Because once that passion dries out and it's finished, you're fucked. But you know what? Big up to Sonny, 28 years old, retired fairly young. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I would say before his prime. Because they say your prime age for a male is 32 years old, 33, 34. That's your prime age for a male. So he retired before his prime age. But you know what? Once a man's got no passion, it's time to give it. It's time to put the gloves up. So big up to Sonny. You know, I mean, hopefully we see more of him. Hopefully we take just the end where he goes ghost. But yeah, man, big up to Sonny. Big up to galal yafai even more. And onto bigger and better things.
Absolutely.
Bosh. Yo, what's going on, people? It's me and my host, Dark Side of the Moon, and we're going to bring you another great event that's coming this weekend, December 7th, the Magnificent 7, Queensberry promotion. Listen, let me get into it. I wrote down the fights, the names. There's a lot going on. Main event card, we've got a British middleweight title fight. Brad Pauls versus Denzel Bentley. Co-main event, we've got a British and Commonwealth lightweight title. Sam Noakes versus Ryan Walsh. Then we've got, for my personal opinion, this is the one I'm most interested in, and I'm sure you are as well. We're going to get into it in a minute. We've got Solomon Dakers versus David Adelaide. It's going down. Heavyweight beef. Let's get crack-a-lacking. Speaking of heavyweight, let's get on to Lawrence Okolie. He moved up from bridgerweight. Now he's in the heavyweight game. I feel like he made the right move. He's going up. He's making his debut heavyweight fight against a man called Hussein Mohammed, German fighter. Moving on from that, we've got English welterweight title, Sean Noakes versus Matthews Rennie. Then we've got Alois Jr. versus Lewis Oakford. We've got Smithy Boy versus Andres Navarrete. Now listen, I just mentioned a few of the fights, but we're only going to get into a few of them. I said we get into, you know, Solomon Dakers versus David Adelaide, because you know, when there's beef, when there's controversy, when there's hype, it's always good to speak about them things there. Do you know what I mean? Than regular fights.
Absolutely.
So let's get a crack-a-lacking with Solomon Dakers versus David Adelaide. What's going on here, brother? There's some sort of beef, some sort of tension going on here. Back and forth, you know, David Adelaide being the person that he is from the ends, a little bad boy. You know what I mean? I feel like at first he tried to show Solomon Dakers that he's a bad boy. Yeah, I mean, that he's going to bully him, this and that. But then I think he realized that it's not going to work on Solomon Dakers. You know what I mean? He tried to get a little reaction out of him. Solomon Dakers being the blunt, dull guy that he is.
Yeah, he is.
It's not giving the same energy as David Adelaide. So I feel like David Adelaide is already lost in that sort of department when he's trying to give it a little hype and give it a little stigma and all this and that. It's not working because we saw what David Adelaide did to, when it came to Fabio Wardley.
Yeah.
You know, there was back and forth. Fabio was like, yeah, you want to have it? Let's have it. You know what I mean? And there was a little bit back and forth. But with this fight here, I don't feel like Solomon Dakers is that kind of guy. He don't give a shit. You know what I mean? He said, like Solomon Dakers said himself, I'm going to let my fist do the talking in the ring. You know what I mean? So it's that. Solomon Dakers, he was supposed to fight David Adelaide last year.
Yeah.
But obviously, due to an injury, and that was on another Magnificent 7 card as well. But due to an injury, David Adelaide pulled out the fight. Solomon Dakers ended up fighting Michael Webster, who he already fought. But the victory over Michael Webster, it wasn't great, and he wanted to redeem himself. In the rematch, he matched up Michael Webster, fucked him up. You know what I mean? Now moving on from that, David Adelaide's last fight was against Fabio Wardley. And since then, he hasn't fought no one. He was supposed to fight Solomon Dakers, pulled out because of an injury. He's been out of action for 13 months. Now he's fighting Solomon Dakers. I believe this is a very dangerous fight for David Adelaide. And I'll tell you why. David Adelaide could have come back into the game and chose a trash can. Chose somebody that we've never heard of. Do you know what I mean? Someone from Uzbekistan or Pakistan. You know, we don't know who this guy is. You could have chose any trash can, but he chose Solomon Dakers, who's the English heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
He came back. I feel like maybe David Adelaide has got a point to prove. But then again, Solomon Dakers is no pushover. Solomon Dakers is a pretty hard opponent to come back after a 13-month layoff. Now, Solomon Dakers got the reach. Solomon Dakers, he's been more active than David Adelaide. David Adelaide has come off a loss. David Adelaide has been off 13 months. Is there going to be ring rust? Yeah. Is David Adelaide ready? David Adelaide just come off an injury. What's going on? Is David Adelaide ready for this fight? Now, I know a lot of people are saying that, oh, he's got power, though. He's got power. But what's power got to do with this, bro? Do you know what I mean? This is heavyweight. This is the heavyweight division. Both men have got power. We saw what Solomon...
In the heavyweight division, just most people have more.
You know this. We saw Solomon Dakers, what he did to Michael Webster. Mashed him up. And I believe this is a very interesting fight. Both men have got power. Both men are fairly novices in the pro game. They may have been boxing from young, but this is the pro game. Let's talk about the pro game. Forget amateurs. Forget how long you've been boxing for. Forget all that. This is the pro game. They're both on the rise. For David Adelaide, he can't afford to lose. He cannot afford to lose this fight.
Definitely not.
You've lost to Fabio Wardley, right? And before going into that fight, it was a lot of hype, a lot of drama. Yeah, I'm going to mess you up, G. I'm going to fuck you up. And then we saw what happened. Fabio Wardley was David Adelaide's first real test. It was his first real test. And he came up short. Now, you can't afford to lose this fight again on a comeback against Solomon Dakers. Solomon Dakers loses, guess what? He's going to move on. It's okay. You lost one. It's your first loss. You know what? You bounce back. For David Adelaide now, whoa. You can't come back after 13 months and lose to Solomon Dakers. Your name will be ruined and your career hasn't even started yet. But I want to ask you, what's your thoughts on this fight between Solomon Dakers and David Adelaide? Let's get it cracking.
My thoughts on this fight is it's actually a very, very good fight because I think they're both fairly evenly matched. I feel like both have reasonable power, both have decent boxing ability, both are fairly early on in their career. So I think skill for skill wise is actually going to be a fairly competitive and close fight. Who do I think is going to win this fight? I have to be honest, I can't actually tell you. I'm not so sure. I'm slightly leaning more to Solomon Dakers. I'm not so sure why. But I think I'm slightly leaning to more towards Dakers, but I wouldn't be surprised if David Adelaide managed to get the victory. I mean, they're so closely matched that it is pretty much an exact 50-50, a low-level 50-50. Let's say, English level 50-50 type scrap. So I'm looking forward to this one. Based on some of the things that you said, then, I feel like David Adelaide has got a lot of, let's say, coming back to do, because it's not just a Fabio Wardley fight. You know, yeah, he had the loss against Fabio Wardley. We all now know that Fabio Wardley is a very, very good boxer. He's not an average guy. We've seen that in his last fight. But I do remember him watching, he was fighting this Polish guy. Forgive me, I forget his name now. But the Polish guy, I thought, won. Majority of people thought he won, and he got the decision. And most people were telling him, you need to have an immediate rematch with this Polish guy. What ended up happening is he didn't take the immediate rematch, and then this Polish guy ended up retiring. So now he doesn't actually get a chance to go and have that match again and say, okay, you can see that it was just a bad night for me, and I've come back and proved to you I could beat this person. But now he doesn't get to prove that. So there's a couple of question marks on his resume coming up here and there. But we're going to find out what he's really made of now. We're going to find out what, you know, what they're both made of, to be honest. And I have to be honest, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, the heavyweight game right now is on fire, bro. You know what I mean? Let's be real. The heavyweight game is on absolute fire. And for these guys to be in the heavyweight game right now, it's probably one of the most entertaining, one of the most better divisions in the sport of boxing as of right now. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. Let's quickly move on to, because we're speaking about heavyweights right now, let's quickly move on to Lawrence Okolie, from bridgerweight to heavyweight. Now, let me ask you, do you think Lawrence Okolie made the right decision moving up from bridgerweight to heavyweight? And do you even rate the bridgerweight division? What the fuck is that anyway? You know what I mean? But let's get that's a story for another day.
There's a few questions to answer there. I'll start with, do I like the bridgerweight division? I like the concept behind it, because the concept behind it is that there is a big weight disparity between the cruiserweight and the heavyweight division. So there's a lot of weight in there to play with. And someone just thought, hey, if we make a new division, we could throw it in between the two. And I like that idea. Where did the bridgerweight division come from? Well, it originally comes from a guy called Bridger Walker, who was a young boy. I think he was about 7 or 8 years old. And he's playing out the front yard with his younger sister. And all of a sudden, this dog comes and starts mauling his younger sister. So Bridger Walker fights off this dog and gets attacked in the process. They both get attacked and ends up saving his little sister. Now, the WBC had seen this, and they decided to call the new weight class the Bridgerweight class, because of this kid fighting off this dog. So it's quite an amazing, like, small story about the Bridgerweight division. However, the problem with the Bridgerweight division is it's not in all sanctioning bodies. Once you've become the champion there, there's nothing really to do. Okay, you can go and defend your title, but why are you defending your title if you can't really advance from that position? You know, so I do think it's a right move for Lawrence Okolie. You know, he's got the frame for it. A lot of people thought he wouldn't have the frame for going up to heavyweight. He's tall enough for it, but everyone said he's quite slim, almost like a Wilder sort of physique almost. But I do think he's made the right decision. There's nothing more for him to do in that bridgerweight division. And the age he's at, he's not going to be fighting these high-profile guys just yet. I think it will take him, let's say, about 2 to 3 years before he starts fighting the high-profile guys. And by then, all the Usyks, the Furies, and all that lot, all the top guys, they'll all be gone. So my thoughts on this fight is it's going to be an interesting one. I don't know much about his opponent, but what I will say is Lawrence Okolie traditionally is a very, very scrappy fighter. And more times than not, his fights can be quite boring. And what I'd just like to see from this one fight from Lawrence Okolie is to clinch less and use your jab more. Instead of falling into clinches all the time, stay on the back foot and pepper people with that long jab that you have. You know, he's got power behind it as well. So that's my thoughts on Lawrence Okolie fight.
Bosh. That's a good little rap, bro. Magnificent Seven, it's a rap, you know what I mean? Wrapped it up nice and smoothly, bro. Let's move on from that now. Let's get it crack-a-lacking with... Oh, yeah, you wanted to mention the fight. So do you want to kickstart that one off there, bro?
I'll jump into it. So we've got a brilliant fight coming up this weekend in Liam Paro versus Richardson Hitchins. And Liam Paro is from Australia. Hitchins is from New York in America. And they're both undefeated fighters. I would say rising stars, not prospects, because I think they've passed that prospect phase now. You know, you've got Liam Paro, who's had 25 fights, 25 wins, and he's had 15 coming by knockout. On the other hand, you've got Richardson Hitchins. He's had 18 fights, 18 wins, and I believe it was 7 by knockout, so not quite as much power there. But both guys, somebody's O has got to go. I believe that this fight is going to be explosive for the very fact that these guys are both hungry in their careers to become the top level fighters that they believe that they could be. And this fight here is going to show them what level they're at. So what do you this fight?
Hey, listen, it's perfect. I love it. I love the sound of it. We've got a Yankee, we've got an Aussie. Let's get it crack-a-lacking. And you mentioned, I love it. I love that. See that one line. I love hearing that. Someone's O has got to go. Oh my God, the hair on my body just stands up whenever I hear this sort of talk. Because let's be real, after the Floyd Mayweather effect, everybody wants to keep their record perfect. Let's be real. Floyd Mayweather was the king of the someone's always got to go. Do you know what I mean? But everybody wants to keep a perfect record like Floyd's. And the thing is, it can't always be the case. And especially when you got two guys that are undefeated, someone's O has got to go. I don't think people realize how deep that is. Someone's O has got to go. Because someone's O is definitely got to go. So I'm excited for this.
We don't want to draw.
You know what, yeah? That would be a shambles, isn't it? You know what I mean? That would be a shambles. But if the fight is, like you said, the fight is going to be very explosive. So it's a very big possibility that it could be a draw. It's a very big possibility. It could be a draw. Because if both guys come in their game, I believe both guys are on the same sort of level. If we're going to compare them with skills, they're on the same sort of level. So when you got two guys, same level of excitement, power, speed, it's a big possibility that it could go into a draw. You know what, yeah? I can't lie to you. I think I'm going to root for the Aussie in this one, you know? I got to root for the Aussie in this one, bro. You get me? So, yeah. Anyways, it's going to be an exciting fight. I'm ready for it. Let's have it, bro. You know what I mean? Big fight. Moving on from that quickly and swiftly, let's talk about these last couple of fights that are up and coming. Let's talk about, we've got Top Rank Boxing. They've got their own shit going on. Let's talk about that, you know what I mean, quickly. We've got an up-and-coming rising star in the heavyweight game up in America. Now, you know we keep a good eye on our own boys, you know what I mean? Moses Atama, Johnny Fisher, Solomon Dakers, David Adelaide, Fabio Wardley, Fraser Clark. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. Anyways, but we got to keep an eye on the pagans. We got to keep an eye on the opposition. Do you know what I mean? Because they also have rising superstars, just like we got rising superstars. And I have to understand the population in America compared to our country is totally different. So we have to most definitely keep an eye on them boys there. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, let's talk about a guy called Richard Torres Jr., 2020 silver Olympian. Listen, I always said this. If you go to the Olympics and you win a medal, you're not just the average Joe. It takes a lot to go to the Olympics and win a medal. You're competing against the whole world, the best of the best around the world. And it goes to show you, if you want a silver medal in the Olympics, you're clearly someone. Anyways, Richard Torres Jr. is going to be facing a guy called Isaac Munoz Gutierrez. Richard's current pro record stands at 11 wins, 10 coming via KO. High knockout percentage, and we like to hear that in the heavyweight game.
Yeah.
We like to hear guys who've got pop and power, because what does that bring? Excitement. What does excitement bring? Pay-per-view buys. Yes, baby. Anyways, let's talk about this now. So his opponent, Isaac Munoz, he's got 18 wins, 15 KOs, 1 loss, 1 draw.
Credible opponent.
Pretty good opponent. I say this is Richard's first proper test.
Yeah, this is going to be a
game. He's going up against a fighter, a Mexican fighter. You know these Mexicans are bad boys. He's going up against a Mexican fighter who's got more knockouts than Richard has fights. Do you know what I mean? And it's always good to see that sort of stuff. So big up to Richard. I'm excited for this one. I want to keep a close eye on Richard, because who knows? One day he could probably face one of our boys. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So yeah, man, definitely. And like I said before,
I got Moses Atama. I believe Moses will beat him.
Hey, listen, Moses right now is a serious guy. You get me? You know, you don't want smoke with Moses right now, bro. You'll mash up a lot of guys. But it's always good to keep your eyes on the opposition, because you never know, they might be fighting one of our boys soon, and I believe that will be the case, because I did say the heavyweight game is on fire right now. So that's that. Moving on from that, I'm gonna keep the main event to the last, but let's talk about one fight before that, which is almost as good as the main event itself. Are you ready for it?
Go for it.
Rafael Espinoza versus Robesi Ramirez rematch.
Yes.
Scores to settle. Wow. What a great fight it was in the first one. I'm not gonna lie to you. What it was just absolutely amazing to watch both guys go at it toe to toe. You know what I mean? With Rafael. Did you know Rafael? Yeah, he is the tallest featherweight champion ever. 6'1". Yeah, he holds a record for that. 6'1". That guy's a big bastard. So when I was watching the first fight, I was thinking, what's going on here, bro? How the fuck is is Ramirez gonna get to Rafael? It's a short guy versus a tall guy. I was thinking, how the fuck is he gonna do that? And he was struggling at first, I'm not gonna lie to you. And then he started letting those hooks fly. Bow, 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 connecting Rafael. And I'm not gonna lie to you, yeah. I feel like if Ramirez had more power, it would have put him to sleep, because the amount of shots that were landing on Rafael. Wow, I'm so surprised he never got knocked out. I'm actually so surprised. And he did get rocked. He did get rocked and dropped. Both men. Listen, this is gonna be an epic fight. Two guys who are willing to go at it. Do you know what I mean? Now Rafael, I feel like his advantage in this fight is he knows what his advantage is in this fight. He knows he's fucking 6'1", bro. Use your fucking reach, use your distance, and keep your opponent at bay. I feel like the last fight he lost a bit of the game plan, because he kept stepping towards Ramirez when it should have been Ramirez stepping towards Rafael, because Ramirez is a short fighter, bro.
Yeah.
So I feel like he lost a bit of the game plan. Ultimately, he did win anyway, but I'm excited. Would I pay for this? Hell yeah. I'll pay this all day long. So let me just quickly ask you, what's your thoughts on this fight here, bro?
Well, my thoughts on this fight is it's going to be an interesting one. You know, I always enjoy rematches because there's a little bit more to the rematch. You know, there's always that bit more energy towards the fight. Sometimes when it's two guys fighting each other and you don't know too much about them, there's not so much sort of anticipation for the fight. But once it's a rematch, it's like, well, this happened in the last fight and that happened into the last fight. So is that going to happen in this fight? Are they going to change their tactics? Are they going to come out the same and see what happens? So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in this rematch. But me personally, I don't really know who I've got in the rematch. But I just want to see a great fight, and hopefully the right man gets the victory.
I am hoping that Ramirez can pull off the victory and make it even, make the scoreboard even, and go have a trilogy. Do you know what I mean? I mean, listen, there's many fights that are great fights. But in my personal opinion, the greatest fight that I've ever seen, the greatest rivalry I've ever seen, has got to go down to Arturo Gotti versus Irish Mickey Ward. Do you know what I mean? Every fight that they went into was absolute war. And if these boys can recreate some of the same energy, we're in for a great show. Now, speaking of a great show, you know what's coming up next. we got Emanuel Navarrete versus Oscar Valdez. Now, first of all, I want to kick things off straight away. What a fucking shit promotion. Their fucking managers, their teams, absolute fucking shit houses. How the fuck is this fight taking place? And we haven't even heard about it. There's been no promotion, no edit, no videos, no press conferences. We haven't said nothing. What's going on here, bro? You know what I mean? Absolute shit promoting from their side of the team, both sides, and Top Rank. Absolute shit. I'm actually embarrassed because the level of caliber of these two fighters, they're fucking warriors.
Yeah.
Two Mexicans You saw what happened in the first fight. Two Mexicans went to absolute motherfucking war. Absolute war. It was action-packed from round 1 up until the last round. Back and forth. Both men were letting it fly. I feel like they even threw out the game plan. I feel like both guys said, you know what, fuck the game plan. Let's just get it cracking. Do you know what I mean?
Like in the first fight.
Yes, brother. Anyway, let's quickly talk about Oscar's record. Oscar's record, 32 wins, 24 coming via KO, and 2 losses. Currently, he's age 33. So, you know what I mean? He's in his prime. Oscar's loss only came from Shakur Stevenson and Emanuel Navarrete, who's going to rematch. So, it's got a score to settle. Emanuel's pro record is 38 wins, 31 KOs, 2 losses, 1 draw, age 29. Now, listen, we like to see someone who's got high knockout percentage. Do you know what I mean? It's always exciting. It's always a banger. Now, listen, after Emmanuel won over Oscar in August 2023, he went on to draw against Robson Conciaco and lost to Denis Brechink.
Oh, yeah, Consensau. Yeah, Rob Consensau. Yeah.
That's it. So, you see, both guys are active. It's not like they fought each other. That's it. They went and sat down and enjoyed fucking drinks or some cocktails on the beach. The both of them were active. And now it's time to settle the score. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm excited for this one. This one, it's going to be absolute war. And when you know it's going to be absolute war, and when you know the fight is going to be a banger, oh my God, I'm not doing nothing besides watching this fight. I'll stay awake till 5, 6 in the morning to watch it. You know what I mean? It's so good.
You have to.
But listen, dark side. It's time for you to give me your thoughts on this fight here, bro. Let me hear your thoughts.
My thoughts on the fight are very similar to yours. I mean, these are two guys who are very, very high profile as far as their actual ability, as far as their popularity levels in the world of boxing. Maybe not so much amongst the casuals, but I agree with you. It's a terrible promotion. I mean, how can you have two guys that at the top of their game like that? I mean, Navarrete has been a champion for a while. Obviously, Valdez is a former champion as well. You'd expect, even if neither of them were champions and they were just both former champions, it should be promoted better. People should know about it. If you want to make more money for your fighters and for yourself, then you need to promote things properly. And I just feel like they haven't done their job as far as promotion goes, because if they had, you and I would have been aware of this a lot longer ago, instead of just, oh, this fight's popping up, and a couple of weeks later, it's happening. So, but on the actual fight, what do I think's going to happen? Who do I think's going to win? The first fight was a very good fight. It was a close fight. I did have Navarrete winning the first fight, and I think Navarrete probably going to win the second fight. I think that I've watching Navarrete for quite some time. He's an unusual style of fighter. He's like a plodder, but he's also a combination fighter, which is very unusual. And like you said, he holds power too. And you got Valdez on the other hand, highly skilled, technically very good, also holds power in both hands. So, who do I think is going to win? I have to be honest. I thought Navarrete was going to win in the first fight, and I think Navarrete is going to win in the second fight. I think Valdez has been in a few more wars. I think Navarrete's been in more fights, but he's had less wars because he's destroyed more of his opponents. So he's had less close competition, whereas Valdez has been in a lot of real terrible wars over the years. So I think everything to me is leaning towards the fact that Navarrete will probably get the victory. I'm not going to go by stoppage because I think Valdez, he's got a good chin. I mean, it's going to be hard to knock him out. So I'll go points decision. Navarrete points decision over Valdez. What do you think? Who do you think's going to win the fight?
You just mentioned a great point that Valdez has got a solid chin, and I agree with you. I mean, after the last fight, we saw his face absolutely mashed up, look like a panda bear. Oh man, I want Valdez to win. I want him to win.
I
want him to win, but I feel like Navarrete is just a little bit above Valdez. I feel like if the fight is the same sort of fight, the same sort of pace as the first one, then we know where it's going to go. It's going to go to Navarrete. Unless there's a whole different game plan from Valdez's side, unless Valdez comes like guns blazing and knocks out Navarrete early on, I feel like the fight is going to go towards Navarrete's side. So I'm rooting for Valdez, but I feel like Navarrete is going to win the fight. And that's my thoughts on that, bruv.
Yeah. Okay, well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Saved by the Bell podcast with my co-host H. Please stay tuned for the next episode. Peace.